Hello, my name is Paul Lima, and I have MS, otherwise known as multiple sclerosis. Sclerosis. Look at that. I can't barely pronounce the name of what I have. Anyway, welcome to Almost Everything You Need to Know About MS by Paul Lima. I'm going to be talking about MS and about my MS. Today's talk is based on my book, Everything You Need to Know About Multiple Sclerosis. There, I think I said it that time. You can read more about the book at paullima.com/book. And lest you think I am trying to sell you my book, I am not. I can't give you a print, Kindle, or EPUB, Kobo copy of the book, but I can give you a PDF. And all you need to do if you want a PDF of the book, Everything You Need to Know About Multiple Sclerosis, is send an email to msandmebook@gmail.com with the subject line MS PDF. I will email you the PDF of everything you need to know about MS. So I am not trying to sell the book. If I could give you the print copy or Kindle or Kobo copy, I would do that, but I can't. But I'm happy to give you a free, no charge PDF of everything you need to know about MS. Just email msandmebook@gmail.com. I'm happy to send you a PDF of the book. So let's start with MS defined. MS is an unpredictable disease of the central nervous system. It disrupts the flow of information within the brain and between the brain and the body. In MS, the body's central nervous system has damage, what's known as demyelination, which slows or stops nerve transmission. So literally, because the myelin has been demyelinated, the signals can't get through. What is myelin? It's an insulating layer or sheath that forms around nerves, including those in the brain and spinal cord. The myelin sheath allows electrical impulses to transmit quickly and efficiently along the nerve cells. So if the myelin is missing, the electrical transmissions are interrupted, hence MS. So that's the physical attribute of what you have if you have MS. I want to give you a bit more about MS. It's not a contagious disease. It's also not an inherited disease, although some families have more than one person with MS. So there is some question about whether you can inherit MS or not. Generally speaking, though, if you have it, it doesn't mean anybody else in your family will have it. MS is most often diagnosed in young adults aged 20 to 49, more often in women than in men, but both men and women get MS. Younger children and older adults are also diagnosed with the disease. So 20 to 49 female is typical, but I'm male. I got it when I was about 42, and I know a lot of men who have MS. Worldwide, more than 2.3 million people have MS. In the United States, it's estimated that nearly 1 million people over the age of 18 live with MS. And Canada has one of the highest rates of MS in the world, with an estimated 77,000 Canadians living with the disease. I'm one of those 77,000. Let's take a look at the types of MS. The first type is clinically isolated syndrome. Fancy name for one hit or exacerbation. That's what you call an MS hit. We'll be talking more about that. In other words, you have it once, you haven't had it a second time, you don't officially have multiple sclerosis. The kind that I had for about 15 years was known as relapsing remitting MS. The hits come and go. And I will tell you a bit about the hits that I've had over time that have come and gone. The next type is secondary progressive MS, and that's what I have now. The hits come and stay. So I will tell you a bit about what I am dealing with today. But basically, you have an exacerbation and it doesn't go away. And then you have another one and it doesn't go away. So they kind of build on each other. Then there is primary progressive MS. That gets worse and worse over time. Literally, you end up in a wheelchair if you have primary progressive MS. I walk with a cane, and I will tell you more about that, but I have secondary progressive MS. Primary progressive MS, it just gets worse and worse over time. A friend of mine, Mick, had PPMS, and I knew him when he could walk his dog. I knew him when he walked his dog, but he was in a scooter. Then he was in a wheelchair, and he could no longer walk his dog. Sadly, Mick has passed away, not from his MS, but from a lung or pulmonary illness. Now, the fact is, he was in his wheelchair, he was in bed, he was in his wheelchair, he was in bed. That caused his lung disease. So while MS didn't kill him, it sure as hell has contributed to what Mick died from. Mick had an expression, and you will excuse me, this is the only time I'm going to swear in my video blog or webinar. Mick's expression was, fuck MS. In other words, don't let MS keep you down. We would go to the same support group meeting. We lived in the same area of town, but I would walk home one way. Mick would wheel his wheelchair another way to the beer store to get a case of beer. And Mick was not a heavy drinker. It's just like if he wanted a beer, he was going to have a beer. That's what Mick was like. He didn't let MS keep him down. MS is known as the Snowflake Disease. Like snowflakes, no two people with MS are alike, hence the name Snowflake Disease. But just as snowflakes have common elements, made from frozen water, for instance, MS has common causes, the demyelination, for instance. So everybody who has MS exhibits their MS differently, just like every snowflake looks different. Pretty picture, isn't it? Lovely looking snowflake. 6 points, frozen ice. Does MS look like that? Not really. I think MS looks like or feels like more like this, the blizzard of snow, just an absolute onslaught. Again, having said that, it is different for everybody. Some people have the pretty snowflake. In other words, their symptoms aren't severe, they go away, recur, remit. Other people with progressive MS, this is what they have. With secondary progressive MS over time, this is what it becomes. Mine is moving in this direction. But like Mick said, and I won't swear again, forget about MS, live your life. MS is known as the invisible disease. And this is a chart from mymsteam.com. We'll talk briefly about that a little bit later. Basically, what people see, well, if you have mobility issues, people see that. You're in a wheelchair, I walk with a cane, you're in a scooter. But what people don't see are all the issues under the surface. And an iceberg, 80% of it is under the surface. Bladder issues, bowel issues, breathing issues, depression, dizziness and vertigo, fatigue, flu-like symptoms, numbness, tingles, seizures, sexual issues, spasticity, again, another word I have difficulty pronouncing, speech difficulty, swallowing difficulty, I have a bit of that, tremors, vision issues, and weakness. In fact, I'm going to tell you about all the symptoms that I know of MS. There are people who have MS who may have symptoms that don't appear on this list. A lot of people with MS have balance issues, dizziness, poor coordination. I have some balance issues. Bladder and or bowel dysfunction, cognitive impairment. There are some people who physically are doing okay, but if they're in a room and more than one person's talking to them, they have difficulty keeping track of the conversation. They can no longer work. They can't focus. They can't concentrate. Depression, I get depressed because I have MS, but I don't technically suffer from depression. Fatigue, had that early on. Now it's tiredness, and I will tell you a bit about my fatigue. Gait issues or difficulty in walking, and that goes along with the balance issues. Optic neuritis or eye issues, I've had that 2 or 3 times. Pain that moves around your body, sort of interesting. I think MS knew I was going to be doing this webinar, and I had a pain that was in my hip. I was thinking I needed to go to the doctor, but then it was suddenly in my back. My hip was okay. My lower back, incredibly painful. Then it was back in my hip. Then it was in my sciatica area, and then in my back in my hip. And I realized that's the MS pain moving around my body. Today, other than a little stiffness in my back, I feel not so bad. The MS hug, literally people feel like they've got this elephant on their chest, and that's called the MS hug. But when you have it, you're thinking, am I having a heart attack? So you go to your doctor. Your doctor says, your heart's fine. It's my MS. Sexual dysfunction, tremors, heat intolerance. When I first had MS, when I took a shower, it couldn't be hot. I had to have it on cool. If it was hot, then I would literally pass out. It brought on my fatigue. Weakness, I have various weaknesses. Difficulty speaking, as you can see, I can't pronounce sclerosis and a few other words. Difficulty swallowing, got that a little bit. Dry mouth. Hormonal issues for women with MS. Inappropriate affect. Emotional incontinence, you might say, or involuntary emotional expression disorder. Bipolar disease, and affective disorder. So there are a lot of symptoms. Not everybody has every symptom, hence the name, the Snowflake Disease. But if you have MS, you have probably experienced some, not all of these symptoms. And if you don't have MS, you understand that if somebody has MS, they may have some of, but certainly not all of these symptoms. So a little bit about me and my MS. I was 42 when the tingles, numbness, and fatigue began. And when I say fatigue, I don't mean tiredness. I would literally pass out on the couch and then wake up or come to tired. Often with the cat, we had a cat then sitting on my chest purring. It was as if she knew I needed the comfort. So I would be fine, and then I would suddenly be fatigued, have to lie down. And it wasn't falling asleep, it was like the world disappeared. Meanwhile, I had tingles that spread throughout my body and numbness in various parts of my body. My initial diagnosis was clinically isolated syndrome, one-hitter exacerbation. The tingles, numbness, and fatigue lasted about a year. I was able to write. I'm a writer and a trainer. When you work from home, people don't see you pass out. And I would book training sessions and hope that I wouldn't experience fatigue. Sometimes when I would go to them during the break, I would sit down for 15 minutes and just close my eyes and relax and help build my energy up. Sometimes I'd be very tired and I'd have to work hard not to pass out while teaching a webinar. Thankfully, the fatigue wasn't daily, it wasn't constant. But when it happened, look out. My symptoms disappeared for 2 years. I received a clean bill of health and I got life insurance. So the doctor said, okay, you don't have multiple sclerosis. You had one exacerbation or hit, pretty major, but you don't have multiple. You've been clean for 2 years. And so I was able to get life insurance because I was given a clean bill of health. And then the hits come back. Only I didn't know it was MS. I had these eye issues. I went to the eye doctor and he told me they would never go away. I had a couple of eye issues. One, when I was looking at a bright light, I would see this sort of holy halo around it. And then I had this black dot in front of my eye. Literally, if I was driving down the street and was looking through my left eye, I can make the stop sign disappear. So I didn't drive. Doctor said, "Oh, your eye issue is never going to go away." 3 months later, it went away, and I thought, "Crap, that was MS." Because MS is like that. Symptoms come and symptoms go. Over time, I had return of various tingles, burning feet, which I still have today. My feet are in pain. I went back to the neurologist when the tingles came back, and after the eye issues and that, I had an MRI and several other tests. And the neurologist said, "Yes, you officially have MS." The weirdest hit, just want to prove that people with MS can still have a sense of humor. It was a hit to my taste buds. Now, I have never eaten crap, but everything tasted like crap. If you gave me a glass of water, I'd think you had filled the glass in a swamp. So even water tasted like crap. There was a good thing about the hit. I lost 30 pounds. I mean, when food tastes like crap, you don't want to eat it. You just sort of eat what you need to do to sustain yourself. And the fact is, I needed to lose the weight. So I lost about 30 pounds over 6 months when everything was tasting like crap. My taste has returned to normal, but I've been able to keep most of the weight off. So my MS hits came and went for 18 years. So 18 years of recurring, remitting MS, and then, bang, headache. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was initially a 3 or 4, but it grew. It literally, on a scale of 1 to 10, it hit a 20. It literally knocked me on my butt. I said to my wife, "We have to call 911. She said, "I'll drive you to the hospital." I said, "No, I can't get up." The irony is we live on the second floor, and when the emergency folks showed up, they said, "We can't take you down the stairs in our," I even forget what they call it, gurney or whatever. Can you go down on your butt? So I actually had to get up to go down the stairs so they can take me to the hospital. Now, at that point, even though I had had some MS hits, the doctors thought it was vertigo, or kind of dizziness, intense dizziness and headache. I was tested for vertigo, and that proved that it wasn't. MS had fooled me again. That's when I moved into secondary progressive. I've had the headache for 5 years. And I'm not talking the occasional headache. I'm talking constant, chronic, persistent headache. The only time I don't feel it is when I'm sleeping. Like I'm talking to you right now, but I have a freaking headache. My head hurts. When I'm sleeping, I don't feel it. Wake up to go to the washroom. I take about 2 or 3 steps. Bang, there it is. The headache is back. Go to the washroom and hope I fall asleep right away so the headache disappears. So what do what can I do? I have to go through life with a headache. Now, the good news is it's no longer a 20. It's more like a 5 to 7. I can still walk the dog. And when I do that once or twice a day, when I walk him in the afternoon when I get home, the headache might reach a 6, 7, maybe an 8. So I'm really tired. Not fatigued, tired. Energy is drained out of me. I can still walk the dog even though my feet are burning. You just live with the discomfort. My legs are weakening. I walk with a cane, but I can walk. And I walk the dog to a dog park. If you're from Toronto, you know High Park. There's Dog Hill. I sit while he plays, and then I take a longer walk home. I walk with the cane, as I said, and I have to find places to sit and rest, but I feel moving is good for me. It feels like it keeps my body lubricated. And as I said, recently I had the moving pain back, hip, the intensity would change. I literally thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to go to the doctor, probably going to have a hip operation. Then I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to go to the doctor and get my back checked out. And this happened like 3 or 4 times. And I thought, wait a minute. This isn't a back pain or hip pain. This is MS. And I went on to an MS forum in Facebook and asked if other people had this kind of pain. And of course, People said, oh, yeah, I have it. Yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the thing about MS is sometimes you don't know that MS is causing your symptoms. So you have to go to the doctor and get it checked out. And then you find out, yes, once again, it is my MS. So what can be done about MS? When I received my official MS diagnosis, there were not a lot of disease-modifying meds on the market. The ones that were on the market were supposed to increase the time between hits and reduce the severity of the hits, but they had potential side effects that to me sounded worse than the MS hits. And I asked my neurologist if I'm on a med and had a new hit 6 months from now, would I have had it 4 months from now if not on the med? She couldn't say for sure. If I'm on the med and the hit was on a scale of 1 to 10 of 5, would it be an 8 if I'm not on the med? She couldn't say for sure. So I decided to skip the meds and the potential side effects. So I've gone 22 years without meds for MS. Having said that, there have been many developments in meds over the last 20 years or so. So I'm not saying if you have MS, you should go med-free. I'm not going to suggest what you do. I'm not a doctor, but you should certainly discuss any disease-modifying med options with your neurologist and make an informed decision. So you may go on meds. There are some meds that, rumor has it from things I read, really seem to help postpone the exacerbations or the hits, seem to weaken them. There is no cure for MS, and a lot depends on the type of MS you have. Now also, depending on the symptoms, the doctor may recommend meds or therapy, like physical therapy, to help you combat them. So you can do physical therapy for leg issues. As I said, I've got these persistent headaches. Almost seems unfair to use the plural because it's been one long headache that hasn't gone away for 5 years. My doctor's tried several prescription meds and a vitamin cocktail to help combat the headaches. So that's not to help combat MS, it's to help combat the headaches, but nothing has helped. In early 2020, I'm recording this at the end of 2019, I will go to a headache clinic for a more detailed assessment. Maybe other treatments will be recommended. We shall see. But as I say, it's been 5 years. MS and diet. So what can be done about MS? So we've talked a little bit about meds. When I was initially diagnosed with the first hit and with MS, I went on the Fit for Life diet. Now, Fit for Life is a book. You can get the book and read about it. Basically, you have fruit for breakfast, and you don't combine protein and carbohydrates. So no ham sandwiches, no meat and potatoes. And when I wasn't fatigued, the diet helped boost my energy between the bouts of fatigue. I would still have fatigue, but it boosted my energy. I'm no longer on the Fit for Life diet. Fatigue is not an issue. I eat well, lots of fruit, lots of vegetables, a little bit of meat. Other than chocolate, I eat pretty well. I'm not a big junk food junkie. I don't drink anything. Having the headache is like being drunk. I haven't driven the car in 5 years. I feel like I'm drunk, so I'm not going to drink alcohol. I don't need to exacerbate the way I feel. Now, a diet that is being touted these days is the Wahls Protocol diet. What is the Wahls Protocol diet? If you want to know more, you can Google it. There's also a book about it. Terry Wahls was a doctor. She treated patient ailments with drugs or surgical procedures, as any doctor does, until she was diagnosed with MS in the year 2000. Within 3 years, her back and stomach muscles had weakened to the point where she needed a tilt-recline wheelchair. Conventional medical treatments were failing her, as they do most people with MS, although I'm not anti-med. Do talk about it with your doctor. She feared she'd be bedridden for life. So, being a doctor, she started to look at other ways she can treat herself. And she tried a nutrient-rich paleo diet, which she gradually refined. She is now out of her wheelchair and riding her bike. She still has MS, but her health has improved incredibly. Now, call me skeptical. Did she have a severe hit and then recovered from it when she was on the diet, or did the diet help her? Is diet a cure? Well, the Walls Protocol diet is now undergoing double-blind tests, and I know people who are on it. Their results have not been as remarkable as Dr. Walls, but they feel the diet is helping them. It's helping them keep their symptoms at bay. If I were 40 again and diagnosed with MS today, I would try it. I mean, being on the Walls Protocol diet or paleo diet isn't bad for your health. In fact, it's good for your health. And if it helps your MS, then great. But I'm 65, I've had MS for over 20 years, and as I said, I eat well, lots of fruits and veggies, but I'm not giving up chocolate. But I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you about the Walls Protocol diet. So if you have MS or know somebody who has MS, tell them to Google Walls Protocol diet and read more about it. Again, it's not a cure for MS. It's helped Walls. It has helped other people who have MS. So that's meds and diet. Let's take a look at MS and work. I know people with MS who can no longer work, and people with MS who can work with time off when they're having a particularly bad day. So a lot depends on the type of MS you have and how severe the conditions are. I'm a freelance writer and writing trainer, and have been so for like 25, 30 years. I've been a writer for like 45 years. I've been freelance for over 20 years. I conduct workshops on business and promotional writing, writing for the web, writing social media content, and the business of freelance writing. Right now, today, I do little or no writing for clients anymore. And I could not stand in front of the class for 15 minutes, let alone a half day, full day, or 2-day workshop. Just couldn't do that anymore. I'm writing this, I'm delivering this, I do some webinars, and I've written several books, I think 22 at last count since the onset of my MS and the headaches, including my memoir, The Accidental Writer. I don't know how to explain it. I can write, I can talk, but don't put me in front of a group of people and don't give me a client. The headaches, the tiredness intensifies. I'm doing this for myself, fighting through the headache and the tiredness. I can do it for myself. I can't seem to do it for other people. The motivation isn't there. And I think the MS has taken that motivation from me. I have written, as I said, my memoir, The Accidental Writer. Didn't know the rules of grammar, became a writer. That's me. Don't ask me any grammar questions, but I've been a writer for like 40 years. Had a vasectomy, became a dad. If you want to know how that happens, you have to read the book. I like cats, became a dog lover. So I'm an accidental lot of many things. Anyway, as I said, my head just isn't to writing for clients. I mean, it would mean attending meetings, absorbing information, and regurgitating it. As I said, I think of doing that, and that's what I've done and loved for 40 years. It's not like I want it to stop. The headaches intensify and my energy level plummets. But I've written my books, self-published them. I don't know. That's the way it is. It's almost like what I want to do for myself, I can fight through, like I'm doing right now. But for a client, I don't have the motivation. I don't have the energy. So I'm living on my pension. I do conduct the occasional webinar. So there I sit in front of the computer and talk for an hour to an hour and a half and make a little bit of money that way. I have converted some of my books and workshops into pay what you can webinars that people can take online. You can read about them if you're curious, at paullima.com/PWYC. They don't generate much income, but I didn't create them to get rich. It was just something that I found interesting, was fun to do. So there are days I think this is what retirement feels like. I'm not working. I'm not making money. And again, if you think I'm trying to sell you my Pay What You Can workshops, if you're watching this video, go to paullima.com/PWYC. You don't have to pay up front. It tells you how to pay, but you're watching this webinar. If you want to take any of my Pay What You Can videos, take it and don't pay. Hey, if you want to contribute a few shekels to a retirement fund, that's fine, but no obligation. You can take it at no charge and guilt-free. You can take, tell your story, how to write memoirs and autobiographies, how to develop your business vision, very important if you're a sole proprietor, how to find corporate work as a freelance writer, editor, trainer, website designer, or other sole proprietor, how to become an effective and efficient email writer, and one of my favorites, how to write effectively and efficiently about any topic, and how to write a nonfiction book in 60 days, which is based on the book, How to Write a Nonfiction Book in 60 Days. Also, I've got a free video that looks at my 20 books, which are mostly on writing, but not all of them are. So if you want to read about my books, you can go to my website, or you can go to paullima.com, PWYC, Pay What You Can, and you can watch the video about my 20 books. I think it's only a 15-minute video. If you think it's going to be 20 hours, it's not. It's like 15 or maybe 20 minutes. So, what about MS and relationships? My wife, Lynn, is a wonderful and loving person who understands what I'm dealing with. She does the cooking and shopping and always asks me if I'm up to doing something to help around the house. I do what I can within my limitations. She doesn't expect me to drop everything and do something. Like I can vacuum. I can push the vacuum cleaner. There are things I can do. I can wash the dishes after she makes her incredible meal. She's an amazing cook, although she denies it. She's really good. Our child, Kaya, is working and living with her partner, but they come to visit as time permits. Holidays and birthdays, they indulge my sweet tooth, jelly beans, or Tim Hortons gift cards. If you're in America, I think Tim Hortons has moved to the States, but it's a donut shop. And I can buy Timbits, which are like the holes of the donuts. They're little round donut-y things or other things. So, I can indulge my sweet tooth. And this picture is 20 years old. That's me. That's Kaya. She now has short hair, blonde on top. That's Lynn. So if you look at me, you wouldn't see that there's a man with MS. But that's what I have. It's all inside. The fatigue, the tingles. It's not anything you see. If you saw me today, you'd see me walking with my cane. You might think I have a knee problem. So I do have a visible aspect. I have the cane, but I still have all sorts of stuff going on the inside. And this is me. There I am today with my cane. Our dog Quinn, who's looking at us. My sister Ruth, my brother Patrick, and my sister Jeanette. Again, great family. They understand what I've got. They indulge my illness. They get me. They know. If they come over for a dinner or meal or whatever, and I'm sitting on the couch with my eyes closed, they're not thinking, oh, Paul's being antisocial. They're thinking, Paul is tired. His MS is acting up. So he needs 10 or 15 minutes to recharge his battery. Again, we have several good friends who come over for dinners. I want to say hi to Gabe and Pete, really good friends who come over. They understand, again, that there might be times when I'm going to sit back on the couch and close my eyes for 5 or 10 minutes. I've also met some new people at an MS support group in the West End of Toronto. I go to once or twice a month. Great people, all with different MS symptoms. I've met some great people online in Facebook MS support group. So if you have MS or know somebody who has it, if they belong to Facebook, tell them to search for MS support groups. And there's an online support group, mymsteam.com. It's like a Facebook for people with MS. So I have good relationships in my life, but other folks seem to have faded out of my life. And I suspect it's because I'm not up to going out for dinner or to a movie. That's okay. I don't have the energy to try to sustain relationships that have run their course. We order in through Skip the Dishes. And if you have never used it and want to order in food, email me, paullima.com@gmail.com, and I can send you a Skip the Dishes link, save you $5 to $7 on your first order. So if you want to try Skip the Dishes to order food in and save some money on your first order, email paullima.com@gmail.com, and I'll send you a link that'll save you a couple of bucks. I don't have the energy to sustain relationships that have run their course. And hey, if I can't go out for dinner, can't go for a movie, and you're thinking, well, that's not somebody I want to be with, that's fine. C'est la vie. I've got good people in my life, both online and in person. What I don't understand are couples with a healthy partner ditches the ill partner. And what happened to for better or worse? Or what happened to what to in sickness and in health? Your partner's sick. I know it's frustrating. One woman who had MS said, my husband said, I didn't sign up for this. Well, guess what? Neither did your wife. I know it can be frustrating. All I can say is this: negotiate an agreement. For instance, if one of Lynn's friends invites her out to dinner or to a theater or movie or to a book club, she belongs to book clubs, I say go. Live your life. I'm sick. It doesn't mean your life has to come to an end. And Lynn takes care of me, but she also takes care of herself. I can stream a movie, I can play Words with Friends, I can make myself scrambled eggs and toast for dinner when Lynn is out. I used to do some cooking. Standing in front of the stove and cooking can be problematic, but I can do simple things. I can make a sandwich. So Lynn and I have negotiated our agreement. And if you have MS, I would say don't expect your healthy partner to simply drop everything and take care of you for life. Negotiate an agreement. They have a life to live, a healthy life to live. Do I get jealous that Lynn can go out to some great restaurants? Yes, because I like to dine out. And this year, in 2020, I'm going to try to go out, maybe once every couple of months to a nice restaurant, to a pizzeria or something. But if I'm tired, if my headache is really throbbing, and Lynn and I have made plans to go out, Lynn has agreed, negotiated an agreement. We won't go out. She won't be disappointed. She knows I'll try again the next night or the next night. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. My final point, really, no matter your state of health, you have no choice but to play the cards that life dealt you. Mick played the cards that life dealt him, and he was in a wheelchair to bed. I almost felt healthy, but Nick had a great attitude, a great sense of humor. You can curl up in a ball and never get off the couch. But what good would that do you? What good would that do those around you? Now, if you don't have the energy or strength to get out of bed or off the couch, if that's you, you have my sympathy. I wish you well and some relief from whatever ails you. I'm not comparing my ailments to anybody else who has MS or any other chronic disease. I'm not saying, oh, I'm worse than you. I know there are people who are worse off than I am, and there are people who are better than I am. I'm just saying these are the cards I've been dealt. I've got to play them. That's what anybody in life has. If you've got some energy, if you have your wits about you, try to find something that engages you. Work if you can. I worked for the first 15 years because I could. Do some volunteer work. I know somebody who does a lot of volunteer work. She has MS. Yes, she gets home. Yes, she's tired. Yes, she needs to sleep. But she finds the volunteer work engages her. Find a hobby or two. Play games, read, write, stream some movies, great TV series. Just finished watching The Morning Show. I think it's the first post-Me Too TV series made. Absolutely fantastic. If you can find it, if you can stream it, I strongly encourage you to do so. To do what you can to keep on keeping on. Most of all, be as well as you can be under whatever circumstances you are dealing with. Be as well as you can be. Deal with the circumstances with the hand you've been dealt as best you can. I don't think we can do much more than that. With that in mind, thanks for listening to me drone on about MS. If you want to visit my website, paullima.com, feel free to visit. You can read about the stuff I do or try to do. Some of the stuff that's on there I can no longer do. Just don't have the heart to take it off my website yet. If you do have any questions, email paullima.com@gmail.com. Ask me any questions you may have. Make any comments you may have. I probably won't be able to answer your questions, but I may be able to direct you to some resources. And I always enjoy getting comments from people. So paullima.com@gmail.com. Feel free to email me. So there you go. MS, the Snowflake Disease. Final word, though, this webinar, the audio and video, were recorded with Loom, www.loom.com. I have no financial stake in Loom. I'm not promoting it because I get any benefits out of it. It's just if you wanted to create a webinar, use Loom. It records the audio and video. My video is PowerPoint, and I'm talking as I'm changing the slides. The Loom is recording both the audio and the video. Once again, thank you for listening. I hope you're as healthy as you can be. I hope you're as well as you can be. That's been a bit about me and my MS and almost everything you wanted to know about MS. Thanks. Take care. Bye now.